Take a look at your hand. No matter what color your skin is, deep brown, golden, olive, or pale enough to glow under fluorescent lights, it tells a story that began hundreds of thousands of years before you were born. That color wasn't chosen by culture. It wasn't random. It wasn't an accident. It was shaped by one relentless force that has influenced every generation of humans since the beginning: the sun. Not because the sun cared what people looked like, because it forced your ancestors to adapt or disappear. This is the story of how a single star transformed the appearance of an entire species. Around 300,000 years ago, the first Homo sapiens evolved in Africa. At that point, every human on Earth shared one thing in common: dark skin. There were no naturally blonde Europeans, no pale Scandinavians, no fair-skinned East Asians. Every branch of the human family tree began with heavily pigmented skin. That fact surprises many people today because modern humanity looks incredibly diverse. But if you could travel back to the earliest members of our species, skin color wouldn't be the feature that varied. Everyone carried the same powerful adaptation. The question isn't why humans once had dark skin. The real mystery is why some populations eventually became lighter. To answer that, you first need to understand what skin is actually designed to do. Most people think of skin as wrapping paper, a protective covering, something cosmetic. In reality, your skin is the largest organ in your body, performing dozens of essential jobs every second. It helps regulate temperature, prevents dehydration, keeps harmful microbes out, repairs itself after injury, and perhaps most importantly, it stands between your DNA and the sun. Sunlight contains ultraviolet radiation, commonly called UV light. You can't see it, but your cells certainly can. Ultraviolet radiation damages DNA. Every exposure creates tiny injuries inside your cells. Most are repaired, some are not. Over enough time, those mutations increase the risk of skin cancer. Nature's solution was elegant: melanin. Melanin is the pigment responsible for skin color, but biologically it functions more like built-in sunscreen. The more melanin your skin contains, the more UV radiation it absorbs before that radiation reaches vulnerable tissues underneath. Dark skin isn't simply pigmentation, it's armor, and nowhere was that armor more valuable than equatorial Africa. Near the equator, sunlight strikes the Earth almost directly throughout the year. UV intensity is among the highest anywhere on the planet. For early humans, spending nearly every day outdoors without clothing, shelter, or sunscreen, constant exposure created enormous evolutionary pressure. Individuals with more melanin experienced less DNA damage. They stayed healthier. More importantly, they survived long enough to have children. Natural selection rewarded protection. Generation after generation, dark skin remained the winning strategy. But DNA wasn't the only thing UV radiation threatened. Hidden inside the bloodstream is another molecule essential for life: folate, also known as vitamin B9. Folate plays a critical role in cell division and fetal development. During the earliest weeks of pregnancy, it helps build the neural tube, the structure that later develops into the baby's brain and spinal cord. If folate levels become too low during this stage, severe birth defects can occur. Here's the problem: ultraviolet radiation breaks down folate. Too much sunlight can reduce circulating folate levels, especially in individuals with less protective pigmentation. That meant skin color influenced reproductive success long before modern medicine existed. Women whose skin blocked more UV preserved more folate. Healthier pregnancies produced healthier children. So dark skin solved two problems simultaneously. It reduced DNA damage, and it protected one of the body's most important nutrients during pregnancy. Two separate biological challenges, one remarkably effective adaptation. For hundreds of thousands of years, that solution worked perfectly. Then humans began leaving Africa, not in one dramatic migration, more like countless small journeys repeated across thousands of generations. Families explored farther, children settled beyond familiar territory. Eventually, people reached the Middle East, then Europe, Asia, Australia, much later the Americas. And with every step north, something changed: the sunlight itself. The sun didn't become weaker. Instead, the angle at which sunlight reached Earth changed. At higher latitudes, ultraviolet radiation travels through more atmosphere before reaching the ground. Much of it never arrives: long winters, cloud-covered skies, short daylight hours, months with barely enough UV reaching the surface. Suddenly, the adaptation that once guaranteed survival became less useful. In fact, it created a new problem. Unlike many vitamins, vitamin D isn't obtained primarily from food. Your body manufactures most of it inside your skin after exposure to UVB radiation. Think of your skin as a biological solar panel. Without enough sunlight, vitamin D production drops dramatically. That matters because vitamin D controls calcium absorption. Without adequate calcium, bones cannot harden properly. Children develop rickets, legs bend, growth slows, skeletons weaken. Adults experience fragile bones, muscle weakness, and higher risks during childbirth. In prehistoric populations, these weren't minor health issues. They directly influenced survival and reproduction. Now imagine someone with very dark skin living in northern Europe thousands of years ago. Their melanin continued blocking UV extremely efficiently, except now there wasn't much UV available in the first place. Too little sunlight entered the skin. Vitamin D production remained low. The same protective shield that saved lives in Africa became an obstacle farther north. Evolution noticed. Random mutations occasionally reduced melanin production. Nothing planned, nothing intentional, pure chance. But in northern environments, individuals with slightly lighter skin absorbed more UV, produced more vitamin D, built stronger bones, raised healthier children. Those individuals left behind more descendants. Slowly, the average skin tone shifted, not over decades, not over centuries, over thousands upon thousands of years. Evolution simply responded to a different environment. The rules had changed. For a long time, scientists believed this transformation happened gradually, from the moment humans entered Europe. Ancient DNA has revealed a far more surprising picture. Some of Europe's earliest hunter-gatherers remained relatively dark-skinned even after living there for millennia. One famous example is Cheddar Man, who lived in Britain roughly 10,000 years ago. Genetic analysis suggests he likely had dark skin, dark curly hair, and blue eyes, a combination that seems unusual today only because modern populations have changed so dramatically since then. The pale skin often associated with Northern Europeans appears to have become widespread only within the last 6,000 to 8,000 years. In evolutionary terms, that's incredibly recent. Why then? Agriculture. When humans abandoned hunting and gathering in favor of farming, everything about their diet changed. Hunter-gatherers consumed fish, wild animals, organ meats, foods naturally rich in vitamin D. Early farmers depended heavily on grains, wheat, barley, rice. These foods provided calories, but very little vitamin D. Dietary sources disappeared almost overnight. Now people depended almost entirely on sunlight. Any mutation allowing slightly greater vitamin D production suddenly became much more valuable. Selection for lighter skin intensified. At the same time, farming created larger populations. Instead of small nomadic bands, people lived in permanent villages connected through trade and marriage. Beneficial genetic changes spread much faster. The combination of dietary change and larger populations accelerated the evolution of lighter skin across many parts of Europe. Another fascinating discovery is that lighter skin evolved more than once. Europeans and East Asians both developed relatively light skin, but they didn't achieve it using exactly the same genes. Different mutations, different genetic pathways, same environmental challenge. Biologists call this convergent evolution. Separate populations arrived at similar solutions because they faced similar problems. Nature solved the same puzzle multiple times. The story becomes even more remarkable when you realize skin color isn't controlled by a single gene. It involves dozens. Some regulate how much melanin is produced. Others determine where pigment is stored. Others influence how skin responds to sunlight throughout life. Tiny genetic differences combine to create the enormous range of human skin tones seen today. There is no single switch, only a complex network shaped by countless generations of natural selection. So what is skin color, really? Biologically speaking, it is an environmental adaptation. Nothing more, nothing less. Dark skin is highly advantageous where ultraviolet radiation is intense. Light skin performs better where sunlight is limited. Neither is universally superior. Each represents an elegant solution to a different environmental problem. The irony is difficult to ignore. For thousands of years, societies built ideas of superiority and inferiority around skin color. Yet biology tells a completely different story. Skin color reflects geography far more than identity. It records where your ancestors lived, how much sunlight they encountered, what they ate, and which adaptations helped them survive. Modern technology has changed the equation. Vitamin D supplements reduce deficiency. Sunscreen protects against excessive UV. Fortified foods compensate for changing diets. Air travel allows people to live far from the environments their ancestors adapted to. Evolution hasn't stopped, but humans have dramatically altered the pressures acting upon it. Exactly how our species will continue changing over the next 100,000 years remains impossible to predict. Evolution never announces its next move. It simply responds quietly, patiently, generation after generation. When you look at your own skin today, you're seeing far more than pigment. You're seeing an ancient conversation between humanity and the sun. A conversation that began in Africa hundreds of thousands of years ago. A conversation written into your DNA. Every shade of skin represents one successful answer to the same challenge. Not better, not worse. Simply different solutions to different environments. The sun never cared what humans looked like. It only created the conditions. Evolution wrote the rest.